Yo, ladies and gentlemen, we are back again with part 2 to the interview Debbie Duncan done with The Telegraph. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen part 1, make sure you go and check it out first and then get yourself back here to get through part 2. I mean, part 1, ladies and gentlemen, there was a lot of protection for Lucy, and I don't understand why. Lucy done the right thing, Debbie claims. But in my opinion, all of the things thereafter the phone call weren't the right thing. The only thing that any of them should have done is went to Jay's location, but none of them did that. It's funny, Lucy at 11, 12 midday that same day, so only a few hours after Jay's left this Airbnb, she has managed to find the Airbnb. She turns up, she pulls up with Lena Patel, some person she randomly found on Facebook. So Lucy's already telling people on Facebook that Jay's missing and she needs help, and does anyone know about where this location is? Does anyone know about where this location is? Like, Lucy was really playing dumb. Like, say she hadn't been traveling to and from Tenerife with the likes of Brandon over the past couple of years. What are we talking about? If she knew Ayub and Rocky personally, then why the need to go on Facebook and ask the world if they know where that location is? Bearing in mind, it's only 40 minutes away from where they were staying. And if you are someone that goes to and from Tenerife, then you would be aware of Masca Mountains. You would be aware of it. Whether you traveled there or not, you would know where it is and roughly how to get there. Why? Because there's only one way there, down the motorway, through the tunnel, and you're in Masca. But it seems like hours leading up to the phone call that Lucy eventually made to Debbie, there was an illusion being created whereby Lucy by herself, I'm not too sure if Brad at the time or Brandon at the time was doing anything on Facebook, but Lucy by herself seemed to be playing dumb. Oh, my friend's gone missing and he's in the mountains. Does anyone know where this location is? When the whole entire time you knew Ayub, you knew Rocky, you had their phone numbers, you were all at Magic Mike's at 6 a.m. that morning. If Jay would have went to the Airbnb without you guys, it would have been within a space of an hour of you all being together. And as we can see that you were all up in the morning making phone calls to each other, there should have been no issues with any of you going to Jay's location when he told you he felt like he was going to die. What are we talking about? He told you that at 8:50 in the morning, and you're only pulling up to the Airbnb 3.5 hours later at midday. What are we talking about? But Debbie claims Lucy done the right thing. I mean, just thinking about it, ladies and gentlemen, there's so many other things that Lucy done on that day that made no sense, especially on Facebook. She was on Instagram and Facebook deleting things, unfollowing people, trying to avoid being pinpointed and links to certain people. I wonder who those people are or that person is. Oh yeah, Ayub Qasim. They were always following each other on Instagram. Quack, quack, that account always followed Lucy. But she unfollowed that account when this all happened and tried to make it look like Jay met them that night. Now, what's extremely interesting, just to add to this part of the video, is remember when Jay's Instagram got hacked? One of his friends posted on the 21st of June, I remember 21st of June, that Jay's Instagram account had been hacked. The person said they had reached out to Debbie. Debbie said it wasn't her. And at that point, nobody knew who it was. But is this a coincidence that on the same day, the 21st of June, Ayub posted several pictures from Tenerife, all in a row? Random pictures. Rocky also done the same thing. One of those pictures was him standing outside Airbnb with Monday written across the front of it. So at that point, they had clearly deciphered that Ayub was going to be the face of the case. But before they done that, they unfollowed each other. They needed to somehow hack Jay's Instagram so Jay's account wasn't associated with Ayub. At the same time, Lucy is deleting comments, removing posts, and unfollowing people. Why would she be doing that? And who hacked Jay's Instagram? Who hacked it? It was all happening purposely, ladies and gentlemen. That was a part of the build-up, the process of letting Mark Williams Thomas know who Ayub is. But they needed to get everything straight, everything in order, including who's following who's who on Instagram, things like that. It's clear as day, ladies and gentlemen. That's the reason why Jay's Insta got hacked. Anyway, let's get into it.
About the sort of virtual analysis of this, the online analysis of this is going on as the news breaks that a young 19-year-old British man has been lost in Tenerife. Because what I think people don't understand, for families at the centre of that kind of story, you've then got a whole narrative going online of speculation. Now, as the mum in all this, you're not in Tenerife yet. What are you doing? Are you going online, looking at some of these theories, thinking, has anyone seen him? Or how do you cope with...
Hold on. What is she talking about? See, this is how you know she hasn't done her research, because she's talking about before Debbie got to Tenerife. Are you going online and looking at all of these theories? There were no theories online before Debbie landed in Tenerife. The case hadn't blown up at that point. It was after the 20th to 21st of June. That's when the case started blowing up. Around the times Jay's Instagram account was getting hacked and all of that started taking place. To be fair, it could have been around the 19th, but Debbie would have been in Tenerife before anyone was voicing a theory about what happened. See, we was exposed to the picture of Jay in the back of the car saying that he's en route to sell this Rolex that he had stolen. I mean, it wasn't even the Rolex, it was the AP at the time. See, the Rolex version, none of us had seen that other than the family. Only the family had seen that. So again, there was nothing to speculate about until we got that first photo. And straight away, people started speculating, sharing an opinion, building theories around that, but also abusing Debbie. See, that's where the abuse actually started, because the perception of Jay is that he is just someone that's out on the island stealing things, Rolex watches from people. He's up to no good. So straight away, people are going to start looking at the parents. People are going to start scrutinizing this from a different type of lens, just based on that one photo and that one photo alone. But who produced that photo? At this moment in time, the official narrative says it was Jay. Jay got into the back of a car with two people he didn't know to go and stay at their Airbnb and randomly told the world or told people on social media that he had stolen a watch and he's about to sell it for 10 quid. Now you have to ask yourself logically, who would do that? Who would do that? Not even a person that's waved out of their face would do something like that. Like, let people know I've just stolen a watch. What? An expensive watch, I've just stolen it. Who am I trying to impress? There is no one to impress, especially if you're not impressing Abe and Rocky. See, it'd be different if you're trying to impress Abe and Rocky, but they knew nothing about it. They knew nothing about that photo, according to them, or according to Abe, which he then later said, Jay never stole no Rolex. There was this little story that he made up about a fake Rolex with this Romanian person. See, logically, if you think about it, if Abe knew nothing about a Rolex, if Abe knew nothing about Jay filming him, driving the car, posting this video talking about stealing a Rolex, and he claims at a later date he knows nothing about it, doesn't know what Jay's talking about, then how can he tell us a story about this fake Rolex that no one else can tell us about? Only Jay knows about it. The friends don't know about it. Abe and Rocky, whilst they're in the car, they don't know about it. Jay's just posting that he's stolen a Rolex. No sign of a Rolex, never been found. We have Abe online doing a live stream, asking the audience what watch was it, what color was it? He straight up denied it. He said it never happened. He doesn't know anything about it. But then later on contradicts himself by saying, actually, a fight did break out and someone's watch was stolen. And that person contacted me the next day after it was stolen because they thought I was involved in stealing it, more or less. So I had to link up with the guy, and I've got that meeting on my iPad. What? So you filmed yourself meeting up with the guy whose watch was stolen and filmed it on your iPad. He called that watch a Green Hulk, so he knew there was a Green Hulk, Rolex Green Hulk stolen, but then claims whatever Jay was talking about was a fake one. In fact, before I declared it was a fake one, I told you it didn't even exist. I don't know nothing about it. What watch is it? What color is it? Mind games? Playing dumb? I don't know. Trying to control a narrative? The only person that's done that, ladies and gentlemen, is Abe. And the only person that told us about stealing a Rolex was Jay. Now put two and two together, ladies and gentlemen. It clearly tells you that the person that fabricated that story to make it look like Jay stole a watch, the main person involved in that story was Abe. He created the idea of Jay stealing a watch. The only problem is Lucy filmed Abe in the back of the car with Brandon sitting in the passenger seat, so they had to make another version. And that's where they had Jay, what we thought was Jay, in the back of the car, because it hasn't been determined if it is Jay or not. Debbie or Warren hasn't come out and said, yeah, that's our Jay in the back of that car. And I'm not talking about the picture that Abe revealed at the inquest. I'm talking about the original picture where Jay claims to have stolen an AP, but this time he's telling us he's with two Somali kids. Not this Somali kid, like the first one suggested. No. He's with two Somali kids this time, explaining the same story. That photo, ladies and gentlemen, remember, I had the original version. They tried to blur out the version that was published in the media and published online. If you actually look in Jay's glasses, you can still see the shapes. but they've been blurred. The picture has been purposely blurred. But I got my hands on the original photo. And who do you see in the lens of that photo, ladies and gentlemen? Oh yeah, you see Ayub Qasim taking the photo of Jay. And it doesn't even look like Jay. He's got a massive gap between his lip and his nose. His nose looks all small. It doesn't look like Jay, but it looks like he's wearing Jay's t-shirt. And it was because I got my hands on that original picture, ladies and gentlemen, Ayub had to go out of his way to get that picture produced on the final day of the inquest, Jay smiling in the back of the car. See, these are things that this lady on the screen doesn't even know. These are things that have been deciphered that Debbie hasn't even looked into. Again, she would rather work with the MPs and the media to try and silence people that were ultimately trying to help her.
The discussion that is going on as you are having your own personal panic and crisis.
Well, at the beginning, it was just, I mean, I didn't look online. You know, we were just sat in the airport and I was contacting Lucy mainly, you know, is there any...
So you see what she said there? She wasn't looking online at the beginning. She didn't think about online. She was sitting at the airport in Tenerife or, you know, just getting to Tenerife when she got the disturbing message and she thought, rah, what's going on here? She didn't know anything about online, but you see how this lady tried to say, oh no, there was people speculating and creating theories online. How did that make you feel at the time? I mean, what are you talking about? You don't even know what was going on. But again, you're just trying to force an agenda, aren't you? Of course you are. And if you would have really understood that at the time when Debbie landed in Tenerife, there was maybe people in the Lancashire area, people that was in the friend circle of Lucy that may have speculated and said something online. Nobody else knew what was going on. Nobody else knew this story even existed until I would say around the 19th, 20th. It blew up really quickly. For people like me, I didn't hear about this until a week before Jay's body had been found. They made it look like in a documentary that I was one of the main perpetrators pushing misinformation or making people feel some type of way when really and truly throughout this whole entire time, I've just been trying to find out what happened to Jay SLATER and provide that information, provide all my findings to the family. People say, oh, well, why don't you go to the police with your findings? Why am I going to the police? I go to the family and I've given information to Warren. Whether he wants to decide to take that on board and take it elsewhere, look into it, that's their own decisions. That's what they do.
Dates. I didn't even think of, I mean, who would have known it would have blown up like it did, you know?
Exactly.
Even like the first morning when we arrived, well, obviously everybody knows about the text message that we received.
Exactly. So that text message, that disturbing text message that Debbie would have received is basically the starting roots of the conspiracies. Because how does someone randomly, with no media exposure, with no social media exposure, let's be real, like Debbie said, she wasn't even looking online. She never even knew that this existed online to a certain degree. It wasn't that big. It wasn't that large. Like I said, Lucy was already posting things online, deleting things, removing friends, you know, doing a bunch of weird stuff, connecting with people that have never come forward to give their side of the story. Although they've been used by the perpetrators in this story, like Lena Patel. Lena Patel's never come forward. She wasn't used at the inquest. She wasn't used in the documentary. She's never come forward even when I've approached her, just asking simple questions. She's never been able to corroborate what Lucy has said. Ayub told us that he met the American woman at the B&B. The American woman, which is Lena Patel, who actually lives not too far from me or used to live in my locality, because on her Facebook account, she was going to the Troxy. The Troxy is 5 to 7 minutes from where I live. So she's a local lad. She didn't even want to respond to me and corroborate a few things that Ayub said when he was blabbering online about he met the American lady when she turned up to the address with Lucy. See, the thing is, when you go through Lena Patel's updates, she never mentions anything about finding a B&B. All she says is she took Lucy to a police station. The first one wasn't helpful. And then she took Lucy to a second police station and they seemed more helpful. That's all she says. In fact, the last update she gave was, there isn't an update, but if there is anything further, I'll update you. Bearing in mind she's a stranger, bearing in mind they're in a Tenerife Facebook group, if there was anything like linking the two last people that Jay would have been with at an Airbnb, I'm sure she would have posted that in the Facebook group. Everything was normal, right? But why wouldn't she post that in a Facebook group to let everyone know, actually, we found the B&B that Jay stayed at, and the two guys that were there said he was cool when he left. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do this. Or are you telling me Lucy told her not to post any of that on Facebook? If that was the case, then why would they do that if everything was normal, if they were all friends? They had been rolling with each other for a few days. See, Lucy never said that. She's never, ever kind of supported that. The only person that come out and said that they had been rolling with each other for a few days initially was Ayub. No one ever said that. Then, at the inquest, Brad corroborates that. He's asked a question which only needs a simple answer, and he decides to desperately say, oh, I didn't think anything of it. We were rolling with them for a couple of days. His answer didn't actually relate to the question. You can tell he's been forced to ensure that Rocky and Ayub don't get into trouble. Why? Because they're the ones that are covering for the real perpetrator, who is Brandon. And Brandon is Brad's mate. So how can Brad throw them under the bus when ultimately he's protecting his mate Brandon? Do you understand what I mean? But these people don't know what's going on because they haven't investigated this.
About that, Debbie?
So yeah, me and Zach walked out the airport and my phone went and it was a WhatsApp message saying, I can't remember the exact words now, but I mean,
Your son owes me a lot of money. Kiss your son goodbye. He owes us a lot of money. You're never going to see him again. That's what the message more or less said. And you've got to think to yourself, why would a troll want to send that message? An 8-second message via WhatsApp that only Debbie is going to see. See, the definition of a troll is that they want attention. We see the attention that these trolls want. We have multiple troll accounts that troll us daily when we talk about Jay SLATER. They all want attention, whether it's on TikTok or whether it's on Instagram or whether it's on X, Twitter, or whether it's on YouTube. Trolls will always troll. They won't just send you one message and then hide away and never kind of interact with you again or try and troll you again. It makes no sense. Debbie says that she tried to phone the number back and they never picked up. If they were really trolling, they would have picked up and said something dumb down the phone and locked it off. Or maybe sent her another message. Or maybe sent Lucy a message or Brad a message, like a trolly message on the same day. On the same day. Not just Debbie receiving this message, an 8-second message. Not just her receiving it. They would have all received it because all of their numbers are on the poster, not just Debbie's. But why was it Debbie's? Why was it Debbie that only received the disturbing message? Because it was purposely done, ladies and gentlemen. See, at that time, Debbie didn't know what she was walking into. She was actually optimistic about finding Jay. Like she just said, she was sitting at the airport with Zach thinking he's just gone off with some girl. When we get there, it'll probably end up being a little holiday for us because Jay will turn up. And then all of a sudden, she receives this message and it's like, what the hell is this? And that's what we now have a problem with, ladies and gentlemen, because how does a mum who then loses her son 29 days later, never sees him again, why would she not then want to investigate that and really understand where that message came from? Mark Williams Thomas tried to say they tracked that message down to a throwaway SIM card and it belonged to a guy called Malcolm. Where's Malcolm now? Has Malcolm been arrested? Like, talk to me. What's happened? You can't just come out and say, oh yeah, we traced it back to a SIM card in the UK to a guy called Malcolm. Just a throwaway SIM card. So someone went out of their way to go and buy a SIM card just to send that message to Debbie and then throw it away. And they attached their name, Malcolm, to it. How? Again, it goes to show you that a real investigation didn't go into that message. But I'm telling you now, ladies and gentlemen, that message was a part of the distraction. That message was a part of the Rolex theory. That message was also a part of the 2-knife distraction. It was all a part of everything that they created. The friends, including Ayub as well, he was involved in it. They created these distractions to manipulate the way Debbie and the family and the friends and then eventually people online to manipulate how we were feeling, what we were thinking, and like I said, guys, ultimately what we were believing. They had their story. Their story was put together using Jay's mobile phone. Ophelia, there's 2 scenarios where Ophelia could have been involved. And we know what those scenarios are. And everything else is history. Jay never walked that way. We've been made to believe he walked that way. Someone with his phone walked that way, went to the point of where they're making us believe Jay would have seen the sea. And I think they would have connected with someone else, to get the right coordinates in place for Jay to be put in a certain location in that ravine. To also make it look like Jay would have walked from that point of destination where his phone would have more or less died to where we put his body. That is the point where we're at, ladies and gentlemen, understanding how the body got from the beach to the ravine. Car, boat, that is where we're at. And guess what? We have a fact. We have a fact to work with, something that actually happened that could connect the reasons as to why the Guardia Civil never found any scent of Jay when they were searching from the side we were told Jay walked from.
Out there everywhere about kiss your son goodbye, you're never going to see him again, he owes us money. And I was just like shocked reading it. And I said, and it was a disappearing message. I got Zach to take a photograph with his phone, of my phone, with the message on, and then it went. So ringing the number back, nothing. But then it was obviously the missing poster had my telephone number on that had been started to circulate that evening because Lucy's mum had put it together.
So Lucy's mum put it together, interesting.
Obviously not knowing what it was going to turn out like, but
again, why would you put a missing poster together that night? Why would you do that when you had all of the information to go to the location of where Jay was? You sat there for that whole day and literally planned this all out, created missing posters, got the description on those posters wrong, spreading misinformation more or less, done all what you can on social media to avoid being associated with people that Jay was last with, building up this narrative to make it look like we don't know what happened, but we're going to need everyone over here to kind of figure it all out. And at the same time, we're going to set up a GoFundMe, one for 10K. Then we're going to delete it and make it look like that was a fake GoFundMe because Rachel, Brad's mum, published on Facebook that it was a fake GoFundMe and people had already donated to that GoFundMe. And she never actually reassured anyone that it was their GoFundMe, but they just had taken it down because Lucy was going to set up a 30K one instead. No. She just left it out there, making people think that it was a scam, that 10K GoFundMe was an actual scam. It wasn't a real one, guys. She never addressed that. So this is where you can start seeing the question marks, why people got rubbed the wrong way and started feeling suspicious towards certain things that were happening. The friends and the people that were involved from the beginning are the reasons why we had those suspicions, as well as the people that were involved that made it look like Jay went to an Airbnb alive and left that Airbnb alive. They're the reasons why we have our suspicions. They're the reasons why we shared opinions and we've been speculating. Not spreading misinformation, trying to find out the truth as to what happened to Jay SLATER. But if you go to the roots, the core roots of where this all started, it started with the friends. It never started with anyone on social media. Oh, you know what, ladies and gentlemen? I have to leave it there. You know why? I'm just looking at the clock and I've got an appointment that I need to get to within the next 40 minutes. And I have to travel to central London. So I'm going to pause it. And we're going to get back for another one. Let me know what you're thinking off the back of listening to part 1 and now part 2, ladies and gentlemen. I need to know all of your thoughts and opinions down below. We are literally here just putting all of the real facts on the table. No conspiracies, no blabbering. It's the real facts that happened from the start of the case to the end of this case to really help Debbie and the rest of the family understand that something more happened to Jay. It wasn't just an accident. And everything we've been told about this story thus far, it has been a big fat lie. Leave your thoughts, your opinions down below. I have to shoot off. Hit that like button. Do subscribe to the channel if we are newly watching. Turn your notification bells on so you don't miss out on part 3. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one.